Hello, guess who? That's right, it's King Oberon, King of the Fairies, prettiest of pretties, hider from the Troll's sister queen. We've got a new story today. Oh, this is a good one today. It's going to be Jack and the Beanstalk. What do you mean you've heard this one before? Well, maybe you have, maybe you haven't. You haven't heard my version of it though, and that's what we're going to be telling today. You see, a long time ago, there was a peaceful human village. I know, right? Peaceful humans? Who'd have thought? Anyhow, they like to farm a lot. I don't know why, but anyway, that's what humans do. And so while they're farming, they've been there living peacefully for many a year, and along comes a big, huge thunderstorm. And you hear the lightning crashing and the thunder rumbling, and down from the clouds came a giant. That's right, a giant. A really big human, basically. Tromping all over the place and stomping on things, and stealing sheep and goats and cows and everything that humans have worked so hard for. And while that giant's out there roaming around, he's rumbling deep in his throat. Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. And everyone was running and fleeing from the giant, because the next thing he said, if I catch you, you'll be dead. I'll grind your bones to make my bread. And all the humans, they hid, because that's a scary giant right there, let me tell you. He's almost as scary as the Queen's sister without makeup on. Woo, and that's frightening, I'll tell you that. She almost turned my hair white. So anyway, for many years the giant was raiding the lands, and the farmers, they got more and more poor as time went by. And it got to be that they got to the point where many of them could not feed themselves. So they had no choice but to give up their farms and leave, or sell off the last of their possessions to get food. And this is where Jack and his mother come into the story. You see, Jack and his mother, they'd been raided by the giants for many years, and all they had left was a single cow. The crops had lain fallow. It means that they weren't growing anything in them, is what fallow means. They're being left to rest. And so Jack's mum, she says to him, Jack, we've got to sell the cow. We've got no choice, and we need you to go to market and get food so we can survive through the winter. Don't worry, Ma, you can count on me. I'll go to town and I'll sell the cow straight away and I'll come back with food. Well, wouldn't you know it, Jack headed off to the market. And as he's headed off to the market, he's taking their old cow Bessie along with him. And she's a good milk cow. You'd like Bessie. She's black and white. I think they call her something like a Jersey or something. I don't know. Anyway, she's black and white and spotted. And she's a fun cow, and she's a nice cow. And Jack was very sad to get rid of her, but they had no choice, because it was getting rid of Bessie, or they were going to starve through the winter, and that's not a good thing to do. I like to eat, so trust me, I know what I'm saying when I talk about that. You got to have food to keep your num-nums in. So, Jack is traveling along, and he comes across a bent figure in the road, an old man. Say there, young one. I see you've got a cow. That's right, I'm supposed to go to market and sell it so that we have food for the winter. Oh, selling a cow, are ya? Well, I've got a great deal for you, my boy. What's your name? Oh, my name's Jack. Well, Jack, today is your lucky day. You see, I'm a wizard. Oh! Oh, I'm not supposed to talk to strange wizardly men. Oh, no, Jack, I am a good wizard. I've got these magic beans. Magic beans? What do you mean, magic beans? Well, you plant these beans, and they grow and grow and grow, and they make huge beans, enough to feed an entire village for a year. Oh, that sounds amazing. Hey, and there's only 3 beans. I'll show them to you. And the old bent over man, he pulls the beans out of his pocket and he shows them to Jack. And they look just like ordinary beans. There's only 3 of them, but they look like regular old beans. Well, does not look magic at all. that's where you're wrong. The magic lays inside. You plant the beans, and at midnight they'll start to grow. And by morning you'll have a huge plot of beans to feed the entire village. You'll be a hero, Jack. A hero! All I ask is you trade me your cow for the beans. Oh, you've got the deal. The whole village will be so happy. Here, Bessie, have fun in your new home. I've got to get these magic beans home straight to Mom right away. And with that, Jack ran off with the beans and headed on home. And the old man, he cackled. Magic beans indeed. Oh, they'll grow all right. They'll grow and grow and grow. Come on, Bessie. And he walked off with their only cow. And Jack, he returned home with the magic beans. And he showed them to his ma. Ma, I got magic beans for Bessie the cow, and I'll feed the entire village. Beans, Jack? You got beans from an old man? Right, it's right, ma he gave me. He says the magic beans that'll grow. Oh, Jack, stupid boy. And she took the beans and she threw them out the window. There's no such thing as magic beans. Now go off to your room. We've no choice but to sell the farm and move far away. Well, Jack was upset, and he went to his room and he cried until he cried himself to sleep. And his mother, she was at the hearth fire, and she was weeping, for she didn't know what they were going to do, and they had no choice now but to sell the farm, because she thought Jack had done a bad thing, and there's no such thing as magic beans. You see, not everyone believes in fairy magic, even to this day. Even with a giant coming down from the clouds and raiding the lands, they don't believe in magic. Well, guess what those beans did that night? As the moon rose high in the sky and it shined a moonbeam upon those beans, the beans took root in the ground, and with a thunderous roar, the beans grew and grew and grew into a huge beanstalk, wider than the house and taller than the tallest tree in the forest, until they reached all the way up into the clouds. Well, Jack woke to the noise. And he looked outside because he thought someone was coming or the giant was there. And lo and behold, he saw the giant beanstalk stretching up into the clouds up above. They are magic beans. Oh, what do I do now? Well, Jack was not a dumb boy. He was actually quite a bright boy. And he thought to himself, surely the beanstalk goes all the way up to the clouds where the giant lives. And he's been raiding us for many years. I could go up there and get back some of our treasure from the giant so we don't have to steal the farm. And so Jack, he grabbed his dagger and he grabbed his belt and his pouch and his big bag and he slung it over his shoulder and he started climbing the beanstalk. And he climbed for what seemed like hours. But as the sun began to rise, Jack reached the top of the beanstalk and the clouds, and there before him lay the giant's castle. Huge and massive it was, taller than the tallest tree, bigger than the biggest beanstalk, a door bigger than the entire farm itself. And Jack crept up to the castle, and once you know it, there was a crack in the bottom of the door. If we were looking at it as a giant, the crack was only so big. But to Jack, it was wide enough to walk through without even ducking. And so Jack, he crept into the palace. And as he's creeping in, he hears... And he knew it was the giant sleeping. So Jack, he began looking around the palace, or the castle as you will, and he searched all he could find, but the giant was a greedy thing, and he kept his treasure under lock and key. All Jack could find was a single goose. That's right, a single goose. And she was white of feather and pretty, and Jack went up to the goose. He said, well, I found nothing else. I guess I'll just have to take the goose. Maybe we can have goose eggs. And when Jack picked the goose up, the goose honked. Arr! And when you know it, beneath the goose was a golden egg. That's right, a gold egg. The geese laid golden eggs. Can you believe it? Think of the omelets. Those will be delicious. Anyhow, so Jack, he grabs the goose and he puts it in the bag and he starts to head out of the castle. And as he's heading out, the goose, it's getting louder and louder because the goose didn't want to go. And you hear, I smell the blood of an Englishman. And Jack knew then the giant was awake and he ran as fast as he could. If I find you, you'll be dead. I'll grind your bones to make my bread. And Jack ran for the beanstalk as fast as he could, and he went racing down, and the giant meanwhile is tearing through the castle, knocking things all over, beating around. Where are you, Englishman? I'll grind your bones to make my bread. And suddenly the giant realized that his goose was missing. You've took my golden goose! And the thunder began rumbling and the lightning began crashing. And the giant whipped open his great door of his castle and went racing outside, and he saw the beanstalk. Thief! Thief! And he headed for the beanstalk with great giant strides. Meanwhile, Jack had slid down as fast as he could and reached the bottom of the beanstalk, right as the giant reached it. And Jack saw the giant coming down the beanstalk. I'll grind your bones, boy! And the giant began climbing down the beanstalk, and Jack, he grabbed the axe and started chopping as fast as he could at the beanstalk. Meanwhile, the giant, I'm coming for you, boy! I'm coming for you, boy! And Jack chopped as fast and as hard as he could, and suddenly, with a great crack, the beanstalk split at the base and started falling and crashing to the ground, and the giant fell. And he crashed into the ground with a thunderous boom. And that was the end of the evil giant. And Jack and his family and the entire village lived happily ever after with the goose that laid golden eggs. And to this day, if you go to Jack's village, you can see the goose, which they named Goosey, and they bought a new cow, which they named Bessie. In fact, there's lots of Bessies there now, and Boomers, and even a little goat named Giant, who loves eating beanstalks. The end.